Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We've got a pretty amazing article here all about the maternal gut microbiome during pregnancy. Yeah, get ready to explore this whole hidden universe living inside us, how it's affected by pregnancy, and what it means for both mom and baby.
Definitely dynamic, that's for sure. It's an ecosystem, and one that medical science is really only just beginning to fully appreciate.
Okay, so if anyone needs a refresher, when we say gut microbiome,
Yeah.
uh, what exactly are we talking about? It's not just about digestion, right?
No, not at all. It's much more than that. It's this vast, intricate community of all these microorganisms. You've got bacteria, fungi, viruses, and they all reside within our digestive tract. And actually, their genes outnumber our own human genes by like a factor of 150 to 1. And these microbes, they influence a huge range of bodily functions, everything from nutrient absorption and immune system development, even to brain function and mental health.
Yeah, and what makes it even more fascinating is that this microbial community is constantly evolving.
Right.
It's influenced by like diet, lifestyle, environment, and then pregnancy is a whole other thing,
Yeah.
a whole new set of variables.
For sure. Pregnancy is just this period of huge physiological change. You've got the dramatic shifts in hormones, especially like estrogen and progesterone, and they have a direct impact on the gut microbiome. For example, estrogen can affect the growth and metabolism of certain bacteria, like lactobacillus species, which are known to play a role in maintaining a healthy vaginal microbiome and preventing infections.
So it's not just hormones going crazy.
Yeah.
It's about specific interactions with specific bacteria. I imagine these interactions can have some pretty significant consequences, right?
Oh, absolutely. These hormonal shifts can change the balance of bacteria in the gut, sometimes even leading to something we call dysbiosis, which is an imbalance that can contribute to various health issues. And this is especially important during pregnancy because the composition of the maternal gut microbiome, it's been linked to a range of outcomes for both mother and child.
And that brings us to another key point. Inflammation. The article mentioned these fluctuating inflammatory states. Throughout pregnancy, can you explain what that means and why it matters for gut health?
Well, the level of inflammation in the body actually naturally rises and falls during pregnancy. It's fascinating. For example, there are these peaks of higher inflammation during implantation and labor, but mid-pregnancy is usually a period of lower inflammation, and these fluctuations can influence the gut microbiome's composition and function, affecting things like gut permeability, or how easily substances can pass through the gut lining.
So if inflammation increases permeability, does that mean that potentially harmful substances could leak into the bloodstream?
Yeah, that's a major concern. And this is why a balanced gut microbiome is so important. Because a healthy, diverse gut microbiome can actually help maintain the integrity of the gut lining. So it acts as a barrier against those potentially harmful substances.
This is all starting to make sense, how the health of these microscopic communities can have such a big impact. And speaking of connections, the article talked about something called the brain-gut axis. So what is the connection between our gut and our brain, especially during pregnancy?
Well, the brain-gut axis is this two-way communication system between the gut and the central nervous system, and it's especially active during pregnancy. This whole intricate network involves nerves, hormones, the immune system. It means that what's happening in the gut can influence brain function, and vice versa.
So if, like, mom is feeling stressed, could that, like, send signals to the gut and disrupt the microbiome?
Exactly. Stress, which is definitely common during pregnancy, it can disrupt that delicate balance of the gut microbiome, which could lead to more inflammation, and then make the expectant mother more susceptible to infections or other complications, which just highlights the importance of stress management techniques during pregnancy.
Yeah, it sounds like taking care of our mental and emotional well-being is just as important as focusing on a healthy diet, right?
Oh, absolutely. They both play a really significant role in shaping the gut microbiome. Maybe we can delve a bit deeper into the impact of diet, since that's an area where we have a lot of control.
Okay, let's get practical then. What should expectant moms be eating to support a healthy gut during pregnancy?
Well, a balanced whole foods diet is key. So think low-fat protein sources like
Okay.
beans, legumes, lean meats, plenty of organic fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, things like avocados, nuts, olive oil. All of those foods provide the nutrients needed for both mom and baby, and they also support a diverse and thriving gut microbiome.
And what about fiber? I know that's important for digestion, but does it also play a role in gut health?
Oh, fiber is essential. It acts as food for the beneficial bacteria in our gut. We call that prebiotics. And when these bacteria break down fiber, they produce something called short-chain fatty acids, or
So
SCFAs.
those are the ones, the anti-inflammatory effects, right?
Yeah, exactly. SCFAs, like butyrate, for instance. They nourish the cells that line the gut, so it strengthens the gut barrier and helps reduce inflammation. So increasing fiber intake through things like whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, that's a great way to promote a healthy gut environment.
So we're feeding the good bacteria and then getting the benefits of their metabolic byproducts.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Now, what about probiotics? Those are the actual good bacteria themselves, right? Should pregnant women be taking probiotic supplements?
Probiotics can be beneficial, but it's not as simple as just taking any random supplement because different strains of probiotics have different effects. It's important to choose wisely and ideally in consultation with a healthcare provider. Like, for example, some strains of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium have been studied for their potential benefits during pregnancy, such as reducing the risk of gestational diabetes or preeclampsia.
So it's about understanding the specific strains and their benefits rather than just a blanket approach to probiotics.
Precisely. And while supplements can be helpful, it's also important to remember that we can get probiotics from food sources as well, like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, all kinds of other fermented foods. Incorporating those into the diet regularly can help create a more diverse and robust gut microbiome.
This is all so interesting. But before we move on to the clinical implications of a healthy gut microbiome during pregnancy, let's quickly recap what we've covered so far.
Sure. Well, we've established that the gut microbiome is complex, it's dynamic, this ecosystem that plays a crucial role in overall health and is especially influential during pregnancy. And that pregnancy hormones can significantly alter the composition and function of the gut microbiome.
Right. And we've learned that inflammation naturally fluctuates during pregnancy and that a balanced gut microbiome is essential for maintaining that healthy gut barrier to prevent those potentially harmful substances from entering the bloodstream.
Yeah, and maybe most importantly, we've highlighted the power of lifestyle choices, especially diet and stress management, in shaping a healthy gut microbiome during this critical time.
It's pretty empowering to realize that we have more control over this hidden universe within us than we thought. But we've only scratched the surface. After a quick break, we'll dive deeper into the clinical implications of all this and explore what the future holds for gut microbiome research. Stick around, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how much control we have over our gut microbiome during pregnancy. It's fascinating stuff, but what are the clinical implications of all this? Are doctors actually using this knowledge like in patient care yet?
Well, it's a rapidly evolving area of research for sure, but healthcare providers are definitely becoming more aware of the gut microbiome in prenatal care. There's a growing movement towards a more holistic approach,
Right.
considering how everything's interconnected, the different systems, including the gut, rather than just looking at isolated symptoms.
So instead of just handing out like a generic pregnancy diet sheet, doctors are actually taking a closer look at gut health. What does that look like in practice?
Well, for one thing, a lot of providers are now routinely asking pregnant women about their dietary habits, lifestyle choices, any digestive issues they might be experiencing. It helps identify potential areas for improvement and gives them a chance to, offer personalized guidance on supporting gut health during pregnancy.
It sounds like a much more individualized approach to prenatal care.
hmm
Are there any other tools being used to assess gut health in pregnant women? The article mentions something about microbiome testing.
Yeah, microbiome testing is becoming more widely available now, and some healthcare providers are starting to incorporate it into their prenatal care protocols. This type of testing analyzes a sample of the gut microbiome, so it provides really detailed information about the types and abundance of bacteria present. And it can reveal imbalances or dysbiosis that might be contributing to health issues or
Oh.
even increasing the risk of certain complications.
So it's like a snapshot of what's happening in that hidden world inside us.
Yeah.
What happens if the test shows an imbalance? Can anything be done to correct it?
That's where personalized medicine comes in. Based on the results of that microbiome test, healthcare providers can then recommend specific dietary and lifestyle changes that are tailored to the individual's needs. They might suggest eliminating certain foods that are known to, disrupt the gut microbiome, like highly processed foods or things high in added sugars.
That makes sense. We were talking about the importance of fiber earlier. Would increasing fiber intake be a common recommendation?
Oh, absolutely. Fiber is like fuel for those beneficial bacteria. So increasing fiber intake through foods like, Whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes is often recommended. And of course, incorporating probiotic-rich foods like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut can also help diversify the gut microbiome.
And what about probiotic supplements? Are those ever recommended based on the results of microbiome testing?
Yeah, in some cases, healthcare providers might recommend specific probiotic strains based on an individual's microbiome profile. It's a way to target specific imbalances, you see, and potentially introduce those beneficial bacteria that are lacking.
So it's not just, a random trip down the probiotic aisle at the store. It's more about a targeted approach based on what your individual needs are. Are there any other strategies that might be recommended to improve gut health during pregnancy?
Well, we've talked about diet and probiotics, but let's not forget about lifestyle factors too. Managing stress through techniques like mindfulness, meditation, or gentle exercise can have a positive impact on the gut microbiome. Adequate sleep is also essential for overall health, including gut health.
Sounds like a holistic approach. It addresses not just what we eat, but how we live. But what about more serious issues? Can a healthy gut microbiome actually help prevent complications during pregnancy?
Well, that's an area of active research. There's growing evidence that a healthy gut microbiome might actually play a protective role against complications like gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, and preterm birth. While more research is definitely needed to fully understand the mechanisms and to develop targeted interventions, the early findings are promising.
It's pretty incredible to think that something as seemingly simple as, the bacteria in our gut could have such a big impact on pregnancy outcomes. Speaking of the future, what are some of the emerging areas of research in this field? What can we expect to see in the coming years?
One exciting area is the development of personalized probiotics, tailored to an individual's unique microbiome profile. Imagine having a probiotic that's specifically designed to address your gut's specific needs.
That sounds a little bit like something out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
But it makes sense given how much variation there is between each person's microbiome.
Exactly. And beyond personalized probiotics, there's growing interest in the potential of fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT, for treating gut dysbiosis and related conditions.
FMT, okay, that sounds a bit intimidating.
I know it might sound unusual, but FMT involves transferring fecal matter from a healthy donor to a recipient with gut dysbiosis. It's basically a way to kind of reset the gut microbiome. You're introducing a diverse and healthy community of bacteria.
So instead of adding bacteria through probiotics, you're transplanting a whole ecosystem. Wow, that's fascinating. But I imagine there are still some hurdles to overcome before that becomes like a mainstream treatment, especially during pregnancy.
Of course, more research is definitely needed to fully understand the long-term effects of FMT and to ensure its safety, especially for vulnerable populations like pregnant women. But the early results are promising, and it holds tremendous potential for addressing a range of gut-related issues in the future.
It sounds like the field of gut microbiome research is just rapidly evolving. We're only beginning to understand how much of an impact it has on human health. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to the present for our listeners.
Absolutely. If you're pregnant or planning to become pregnant, one key takeaway from this deep dive is that you have more control over your gut health than you might realize.
Right. We've talked about so many actionable steps, from focusing on a balanced whole foods diet rich in fiber to managing stress and getting enough sleep.
And by making conscious choices that support a healthy gut microbiome, you're not only investing in your own well-being, but you're also potentially setting the stage for a healthier pregnancy and a healthier baby.
It's empowering to know that something as simple as nurturing the trillions of bacteria that live within us can have such far-reaching effects.
Yeah.
But we've covered so much today, and I know our listeners are probably eager to digest all this information. Let's take a quick break and come back to wrap up this fascinating deep dive with some final thoughts and key takeaways. All right, we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into the maternal gut microbiome during pregnancy. It's been a pretty incredible journey, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's remarkable how much we're learning about this whole hidden world inside of us and what it means for pregnancy.
Yeah, we talked about how pregnancy hormones can really change the gut microbiome, and how a balanced gut can protect against inflammation, and how lifestyle choices like diet and stress management are so crucial for shaping a healthy gut. So what really stands out to you as the most important takeaway for our listeners?
If I had to pick just one, I'd say that taking care of a healthy gut microbiome during pregnancy is like an investment in both your current well-being and future well-being. It's not just about, avoiding an upset stomach. It's about really supporting the mother's overall health and potentially influencing the health of the baby, even into adulthood.
Wow, That's a powerful message. And it's empowering to know that we have some control over this intricate ecosystem that we're carrying around. What are some final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I would encourage everyone to think of their gut microbiome as a garden that needs tending. Nourish it with a variety of whole foods, lots of fiber, fermented foods that are rich in probiotics. Try to minimize exposure to the things that can disrupt the balance, like those highly processed foods, too much sugar, and chronic stress. And remember, it's a journey. Don't be afraid to experiment a little. Listen to what your body's telling you. And if you need to, seek guidance from a knowledgeable healthcare provider.
I love that analogy. That's some really great advice. It's incredible to think about all the potential this field of research has and what it means for the future of prenatal care.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following the science, that's for sure. As we continue to learn more about the gut microbiome, we'll likely see even more personalized approaches to healthcare, tailored to each person's own unique microbiome.
The possibilities are really amazing. We've only scratched the surface today, but hopefully this has sparked your curiosity and given you a better understanding of this amazing world within all of us.
Yeah, knowledge is power. And in this case, it's power over our own health and well-being.
So well said. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have. And if you're looking for more information, remember that this is just the beginning of your exploration. There are tons of resources out there, online, in books. You can even check with reputable health organizations. Don't hesitate to keep learning. Dive deeper. Ask questions.
Yeah, and trust your instincts. Stay curious. Never underestimate the power of those trillions of tiny but mighty microbes living in your gut.
That's great advice to end on. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating deep dive. Until next time, happy exploring.